We're going to be stuck in this victimization if we go, that's why I am the way that I am. It's not my fault. It's your fault. No, stop the crap. We are taught to avoid pain and seek pleasure. This isn't just for food addiction. This is for all addiction. This is really setting us up for these types of behaviors long term. And it will take me from this wound up, anxious state where I'm in fight, flight, freeze or fawn response into kind of this immediate sense of calm. Oh, I'm obese and screwed up because you conditioned me that way. No, this is where forgiveness comes in. Still today, we go off to the sports field or we're doing well in class and we get to pick a reward or we get given a reward. Now, 99.9% of those rewards are what? They are sugar. They are toxic foods. They contain chemicals and genetically modified ingredients. They contain neurodisruptors of our brain. They are designed by scientists in laboratories, not grandma's kitchen, to make you addicted. You get to be the hero in your life's journey. Don't you lay down your sword and give up with apathy. What a waste of your life. You are a miracle by divine order. You deserve to be here. You deserve the best life. And you deserve to transform and go out there and kick ass and be a role model for other people in your community and life as well. So understand your wounds, understand where they came from, understand who you are and why you are, and make new decisions. If you ever eat when you're stressed or angry or sad or depressed or anxious or feeling insecure or to avoid any other uncomfortable emotions, this video is for you. And I want to begin this video by saying to you very clearly, it's not your fault. We are raised in an environment where we are programmed and hardwired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. We're taught that to be angry or upset or emotional in any way is unsafe. We're taught to suffer negative emotions in silence, or worse than that, we're taught to stuff them down. So I want to bring some light today to really how your brain has been hardwired to respond in an addictive way. And first of all, I really believe that forgiveness is the antidote to everything in this universe. So while I'm going to raise some potential issues with, our well-meaning caregivers and why we are the way that we are, I think it's really important to know that this is actually a societal issue. This is a global issue, right? We have been raised in an environment to seek pleasure and avoid pain at all cost. And really, this is intergenerational. And if you go back 100 years ago and look at the level of consciousness and emotional intelligence that our ancestors had, it wasn't there. We are so fortunate today to live in a world where we are able to have access to amazing psychology, psychological tools, spiritual tools, and really over the last few generations, there has been this slow progression of the awakening of consciousness. We're now consciously aware as to some of the reasons we have certain behaviors and we have certain addictions and we have certain trigger responses. And I think that is a beautiful place for us to really do some deep healing now. So I want to go back to the beginning of your childhood and give you some examples so that you can bring up to your own conscious mind, maybe some of the reasons why you may struggle with addiction, particularly food addiction right now. I know that the average woman spends around 17 years of her life dieting. And to me, that is a completely unacceptable statistic. There are multiple reasons for this, and it would be negligible for us to not address not only our food system and the diet industry itself. Those are absolutely important things. But ultimately, what's going to shift this for the individual is their mindset and to understand their relationship with food, where it came from, what's been hardwired into their brain, the reason they turn to food, understanding the neurochemistry of the brain and why your addiction makes sense. I think there's a deep level of comfort that can be given to people that have struggled with being overweight or chronic dieting or even obesity. So the first thing I want to say is none of this is your fault. I think it's really important that when we embark on a healing journey, that self-compassion is the number one requirement. And what this means is as we start learning and growing and becoming really consciously aware of some of our habits and behaviors, it's super important to not drop into feeling guilty or shame, because as we embark on the journey of healing, we often fall back into this pattern of, oh, flip, I really did self-abandon. Oh, I really let myself go. Oh, how did I do this to myself? How did I create this illness? How did I destroy my health? If it's that far for you. And it's really important to have nothing but love in your heart for yourself. You only did what you knew how to do, and you only did what the world offered you as a tool. So I just want to invite you to come to your heart and give yourself the gift of listening to and absorbing the information that I'm going to share with you, because I really feel that so many people in the world need to understand that the antidote to shame and guilt and addiction is self-love and self-compassion. So with that in mind, let's go back to the beginning, your early childhood. And I'm going to bring this into the story in the realm of food, because that is my area of expertise. But when it comes to this or any kind of addiction, we can understand the wiring and the patterns of behavior all overlap. They're all the same type of thing. So this really begins in our early childhood, where we are taught to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And an example of that, and I want you to really think about this in your own life, in your own childhood, in your own community, what may have happened in this situation. Say, for instance, you're a toddler and you fell over and you skinned your knee, and all of a sudden, there's blood pouring out, you're screaming your head off, you're wound up, your nervous system is activated, you're having a little meltdown, to be quite fair. And what do you think your caregivers are going to do in that moment? Of course, in a good home, they're going to want to comfort you. They're going to want to give you some attention. If you scream loud enough, I'm sure they will. And often the responses, particularly from older generations and unfortunately generations today. And so share this video with any parents out there that may be doing this, particularly the grandparents, because seriously, the way that we respond to our children's pain is setting them up for success or failure later in life for emotional intelligence. It's really, really important that we bring to light a deep level of emotional intelligence and awareness to how we're training our children to respond to pain in the future. So let's just say you're at grandma's house and you have hurt yourself, and grandma doesn't know how to cope. She doesn't have the capacity, right? And her immediate response is to soothe you as soon as possible, or even a parent, whoever you're with, right? Their response is to create soothing. And often what happens is that they will say, oh, you're okay. Oh, that must hurt. Okay, good, whatever their response is. But often what happens is they'll try and reach for something that's going to immediately cheer you up. They're trying to shift your emotional state from being upset and hurt and the tears and everything like that into returning you to a sense of calm. Now, we can't blame our caregivers for this at all, but often what they'll do is they will say, let's just go to the cookie jar, or let's get a treat, or let's get that lolly. And just, and basically what they're doing is they're shoving sugar or carbohydrate, something like that, into our bodies. And unfortunately, what that does is that releases certain opiates in the brain, such as dopamine, and that immediately gives us a little rush of feel-good chemicals. And so all of a sudden, we've gone from physical hurt, pain, being afraid, being in fear, into getting some love and attention from our caregivers, to getting a reward of having sugar or any kind of substance that's going to release dopamine in the brain. So this isn't just for food addiction. This is for all addiction. This is really setting us up for these types of behaviors long term, where we become kind of hardwired for that dopamine high. There's a number of other opiates that obviously fall into the addiction realm, but we'll focus on this one for now. So as a child, we have all of a sudden learnt, okay, there's emotional pain, must be avoided. Here's a distraction. Here's something that will immediately shift my state. It will shift my neurochemistry, and it will shift my physiology, and it will take me from this wound up, anxious state where I'm in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response into kind of this immediate sense of calm. So that teaches us a number of things, right? It teaches us immediately my emotional outbursts aren't welcome. They're not safe. And also, I need to stuff them down. I need to swallow them up. And that's the first thing. We're not taught to just feel and express and be held and nurtured in a safe environment where we can allow the physical pain to come out. And what's interesting about tears, particularly in a child, is as tears actually dry on your face, oxytocin is actually found in the teardrops themselves. There's various different hormones found in tears. So as the tears cry from our eyes and dry on our skin actually absorbs oxytocin, which is the love hormone. So first of all, we've stopped the body's natural response of actually giving us what it needs to self-soothe. And instead of that, we've interrupted that cycle by reaching for something that's going to stimulate dopamine in the brain, the reward center in the brain. And so now all of a sudden we are feeling this high from the drug, in this case, the one of sugar. And you could put in XXX, how that child is going to grow up and find dopamine with any other addiction later in life. But now this child is not only taught to stuff down emotions, taught that emotions aren't safe, they're taught to please the caregiver. And also that is related to love and connection, because here is this person, this caregiver that's taking care of me and giving me love and giving me connection in this moment, if we're lucky, and is giving me this reward of shutting up by stimulating dopamine in my brain through sugar and carbohydrates. Now, you tell me, when we condition a child's mind over and over again to do that, what is likely to happen later in life? How are they going to learn to sit in uncomfortable feelings? How are they going to learn that their feelings are all valid, whether they're positive or negative? If we're raised in homes and in a society where we are literally taught to avoid the pain and seek pleasure, we don't stand a chance. So what happens as we are developing emotionally? We are reaching for things to do that very same thing. And so we get to our teens, then all of a sudden we're introduced to alcohol. And guess what that does? Alcohol really does stunt our emotional development, just as food addiction does, just as any kind of addiction does. Anytime we are avoiding pain and seeking pleasure, trying to avoid uncomfortable feelings because we're not taught the coping skills and not taught that they're safe and that it's actually okay. There's nothing really to fear there. It's just allowing the energy and motion to move itself through your nervous system to be processed. And what I mean by that is emotions, energy and motion. And emotion is an automatic response to a situation where we may be experiencing something that's triggering us. And I'll do another video particularly on emotions. However, in this situation, we are literally being programmed. We are being conditioned through our environment to addiction. And I really don't believe that rewarding a child for good or bad behavior with sugar is an ethical thing to do, is a loving thing to do, is a kind thing to do or the right thing to do. I also know that we haven't been taught this. There is no one really to blame but society itself, right? So we can't kind of point the finger and go, oh, I'm obese and screwed up because you conditioned me that way. No, this is where forgiveness comes in. So as we become aware of who we are, how we're wired, how we respond to the world, what are our positives and what are our negative traits? Where did these things come from? It's really important to constantly do a forgiveness journey along the way. Forgiveness of being a product of our environment, a product of our school, a product of our religions, our churches, our communities, our homes, our parents, whatever. We need to work through that and let that go and just come to a place that right here, right now, I can accept that this is where I'm at. And I am now becoming consciously aware of those programs that are hardwired into my brain that I'm not even consciously aware of. And what I mean by that is you can be going through your daily life and not even really aware of your relationship with food or any kind of addiction because you've been so programmed to kind of go to it. It becomes the habit or the reward at the end of the day. Oh, I've worked really hard. I deserve that wine. I've worked really hard. I deserve that food. I've worked really hard. I deserve to treat myself in this moment. So it's not just that we're using food as medicine or our addictions as medicine for self-soothing methods. We're also using it to reward ourselves. So let's go back to childhood and let's see how these programs play out. And this is really going to help you understand your own automatic responses. And I really hope that this is going to help you parent or grandparent better, or if you're a caregiver of children, to really be consciously aware of this. The first thing is negative emotions serve a purpose. They're not bad. We need to stop this whole thing that we believe that negative emotions are bad and to be avoided. They're not. The skills we should be teaching our children and ourselves as adults is to be able to lean into the emotions, to be able to feel that energy surging through our nervous system, and to be able to sit in those uncomfortable places and to get curious about them. Why is that triggering in my part of that body? Am I feeling it in my gut? Is my heart racing? Have I got a pain in my neck? The pains in your necks. Where is it that I'm experiencing this discomfort in this moment? And can I breathe into that place? Can I bring conscious awareness in? Can I get curious about its energy? Can I get curious about how it feels? Does it have a name? Does it have a color? Does it have any kind of archetype? Can I kind of get curious about it? The magical thing that happens when you get curious about your emotional triggers is that you are cutting the cord. You're cutting the hardwiring response in your brain, in the neural pathway, to actually interrupt the emotional trigger and the deep unconscious desire to avoid it by seeking your addiction. So the first step in healing is to become curious. Oh, where's that uncomfortable feeling? What's that going through my body? Okay, this feels really stressful. Remember to breathe. I'm breathing. I'm leaning into. Okay, where is it? Where is it in my body? What's showing up for me? And as soon as you go into a beautiful place of conscious self-inquiry, you're breaking the cycle. You're breaking the cycle in that moment. So this is really what we should be teaching our children. So let's come back to you as an adult that's really struggling with breaking these habits, because it could be that you've been dealing with these hardwired habits for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or even 80 years, right? These responses that have been conditioned into your mind. Another example of how we are programmed for addiction is reward-based. So think about it this way. A lot of homes or communities and even the school systems today still do this. send this video to anybody who is in education. Still today, we go off to the sports field or we're doing well in class and we get to pick a reward or we get given a reward. Now, 99.9% of those rewards are what? They are sugar. They are toxic foods. They contain chemicals and genetically modified ingredients. They contain neurodisruptors of our brain. They are designed by scientists in laboratories, not grandma's kitchen, to make you addicted. So why is this okay that we allow our children to go to school systems and be rewarded with toxic food? So now we have generations of adults that get to the end of the week or the end of the day and, oh, I deserve a reward. I deserve a treat. I deserve that. It is toxic food. It is damaging the brain. It is damaging mitochondrial health. It is damaging metabolic health. Those foods are cancer causing. They are causing heart disease. They are causing anxiety and depression. How is it okay that we live in a society where those things are socially acceptable? And now, having 30 years experience as a weight loss coach, dealing with the chronic cycle of on and off the wagon. Oh, I lost the weight 5, 6, 7 times over, but each time I gained it back and added more to it. Why? Because we are living in a society where these things are socially acceptable. And it has to change. We need to spread the word. We need to understand what it is that we're doing, this intergenerational ignorance. We need to be more conscious. We need to change these things for future generations. Because right now we are dealing with an obesity epidemic of gigantic proportions. This is the first generation born that will not live as long as their parents. Did you know that? Your children and grandchildren, the children born today, have a shorter life expectancy than you. So these behaviors have to stop. It has to end with us. We need to understand the relationship between food, what it's doing to the brain, and we need to teach the future generations new skills and emotional intelligence so that we are setting them up for success. Because right now, the human species has a limited life expectancy. And it begins with understanding the relationship and the power of food. Food is a medicine. It's medicine. Every food you put in your mouth is sending information to your body. It's communicating to every single cell. It's feeding the life force energy of your soul. This miraculous body that we have, right? It is built on the building blocks of food, the food we put into our mouths, the quality of the food, the chemicals of the food, the toxins in the food. All of those things play a role in our neurological health, our emotional body, our intellectual abilities, our capabilities, our levels of inspiration, who we become in this world. How successful we become in every area of our life comes down to the physicality and the vibrational frequency and the energy of the body. So it's time we took a really good stand back and understood how it is that we have got to this place in the world where we are dying, we are sick, we are obese, we are on multiple medications, we are taught to live from a sickness model, not a wellness model. Now, I don't know about you, but there is no way in hell I'm going to delegate my health and my well-being and my longevity to multinational food corporations, of which there are less than 10 companies that own 90% of the world's food supply. And there is no way I'm going to delegate my health to a medical model that will eventually collapse because it's unsustainable. We need to take our own health and our own well-being into our own hands. We need to be our best own advocates. And I'm sorry, but the food system and the medical system is a disaster. It's a disaster. If you want to delegate your health and well-being to those greedy corporations, what do you think the probability of your longevity is going to be? We're not living longer. We're dying longer. And the generations born today are not going to live as long as us. It is time that we empowered ourselves. It is time that we took responsibility for ourselves instead of delegating it to others. And here's a fact about life. Any area you neglect within your own personal world will eventually be delegated to somebody else. If you don't take care of your well-being, the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies, they're going to profit from you. If you don't take care of your nutrition, the multinational food corporations, the very people that are destroying our ecosystems, our land, they're raping and pillaging through monoculture farming and agricultural sprays that are destroying the insects, the plant life, the animal life, the entire environment. Every time we spend $1, we are voting for the world we want to live in. You don't vote by going to the ballot box. I haven't voted in years. I'd vote if there was someone worth voting for. But where I vote is every single time I spend $1. So we are either voting for the world we want to create, of which we're all co-creating together, or we become apathetic. We sit on our couch, we eat our TV dinners, we go through the drive-thru on the way home from work because we're stressed or angry or depressed, or we feel like we deserve it, we need that treat or that reward. And in the meantime, we are destroying ourselves. We're limiting our incredible human potential. What we put into our bodies determines our vitality, our energy, our ability to live with our hearts wide open, our ability to say yes to life. Our vitality and our wellness and our energy levels are everything for you in your life. So why do we want to delegate that? Why do we want to just hand it over? And who are we handing it over to? So my mission on this planet is to help inspire you through education to take back control of your own health, your own well-being, to understand the truth about medicine, the truth about the food system, the truth about psychology and mindset and training, and how you've been programmed, as we all have been, as a product of our environment. So if we're wanting to change something, rather than sitting on the couch, eating our TV dinners, feeling apathetic and just like, who cares? I can't do anything about it. Wake up. Like, seriously, wake up. You are so miraculous and powerful, yet you've had your power taken away from you because of the way the world is. Don't you think that it's time you took your power back? That you actually had a level of deep self-love and a desire to actually live your very, very best life? You've got one shot at this. You've got one shot at this. And what I know is it's never too late to change your life. It's never too late to change your life and to reinvent yourself and to actually transform what you didn't think was possible. And that goes back to our programming, back to our early childhoods, back to understanding that we are nothing more than a computer. We're in this biospace kind of computer in a sense, right? It's a good analogy, helps us understand that our brains are basically bringing in information. Our brains are filtering information that is useless and the ones that we want to keep. And it's going to park some stuff to long-term memory. And basically our brain is a predictive machine. We are here to learn and grow so that we don't have to consciously think about everything all the time. And so when we think about that, and we go, why do I have this habit? Or why do I have this particular behavior? Why can't I stop that? I said I was going to stop that. I wasn't. I'm going to stick at this diet. going to stick it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stick at this diet or whatever it is. I'm going to quit drinking, whatever. And then we find ourselves on a Friday night going, oh, nah. And all of a sudden, our old hardwired programming, our emotional responses kick back online and they go, oh, but you deserve it. Oh, but you're in this situation. Oh, but you can't let down that person. You have to say yes because you've been raised to be a good girl or good boy or to people please or to be agreeable. Because to not be agreeable, to stand in your own personal power is to what? Have people not like you? Is that the fear? Because maybe love was removed from you in childhood if you didn't behave in a certain way. So we're all products of our own environment. We're products of our conditioning. We're products of the world and the society. We're products of advertising. We're products of multinational corporations that are all vying for our attention and for our money and for control. And so as we awaken and go, you know what? I really aren't that happy in my life. I'm still dealing with depression, anxiety. I'm still living in fear. I have all these dreams that were long buried. You know, when I was young, I thought my life would be this and that and the other thing. And, oh, well, guess it didn't work out for me. Maybe I should just, give up? Hell no. Seriously, stop it. Stop with the apathy. You know, one of the things that I've recognized in my decades of coaching is that it's never too late to transform your life. It's never too late to return to deep self-love. And it's never too late to heal your life. There are two things that need to occur along that way. One is the willingness to understand who you are on the most deep and profound level. Who are you? Why are you here? What should you be doing with your life? How can you grow? How can you expand? How can you evolve? How can you get more satisfaction from life? How can you get more excitement, more joy, experience more bliss, more inner peace? You know, I've run retreats for over 20 years, and at the opening session, I ask every woman, and I've done this from the beginning. And what's beautiful is I've seen the answers evolve over time, which is a sign that we are getting smarter. But initially, I'd say to women, what is it that you most deeply want from life? Now, 20 years ago, women would just say, I want to be happy. I want happiness. I want happiness. And a lot of people still say that. But what I've seen is the morph into the real truth, the real core truth. It's not happiness we desire because that's fleeting, it comes and goes. What we deeply, deeply desire is peace. No matter what happens to us, no matter what eventuates in our life, no matter what erupts within our reality, wouldn't it be great to just always be able to have a sense of peace about it? To be able to sit in a space of no matter what kind of shit is hitting the fan right now, I'm okay. I trust that it's going to be okay. That is peace. That is authentic peace. And that is ultimately what every human being is seeking. So when it comes back to addiction, what we're trying to achieve in that moment where we're reaching for the addiction itself, or even the thought of the addiction, because dopamine starts rising in the brain just at the thought of it. So when you go, oh, I'm going past the drive-through at work, it's nearly 5 o'clock, dopamine has already been released in your brain by the mere thought of the addiction itself. So it's a great distraction, isn't it? Can't you see how clever the brain is, how clever the mind is? Oh, even the thought of it's starting to make me feel good. It is the hunt and the pursuit of the addiction that stimulates the most dopamine. Did you know that? Not the actual addiction itself. So here we are, and we're going through our day, and we play it out. And what happens at the end of an indulgence in an addiction, particularly one where you've fallen off the wagon, where you've made a promise to yourself you wouldn't do it, or a promise to others, yet here you are. There is a couple of things that happen. The first thing that happens, you get to avoid pain, seek pleasure, you get the high, That's the reward. That is what anchors the trigger, habit, reward loop, which is the cycle of addiction in the brain. That's how it becomes programmed in. The second thing that happens is that the aftermath of that is the low. What goes up must come down. Universal law. And so what happens is that we then go into the, oh, fuck, you know what I really want to say. What have I done? You wake up the next morning with a hangover, whether it's a sugar coma or whether it's an alcohol hangover or you've binged on whatever drug or sex or gambling or whatever it is, right? There you are. You wake up the next day and this trepidation falls upon you. This feeling of, oh, I let myself down. I let others down. What the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm so useless. I can never master this. All the feelings of guilt and shame and self-beration kicks in. And I have questioned, as an addiction specialist for 30 years, whether or not it's the dopamine rush, the addiction itself, the behavior and the reward, or whether some of us are actually addicted to our own negativity, to our own feelings, because there's a part of us that doesn't feel worthy of success, a part of us that doesn't feel good enough, a part of us that just knows that we're trash and we're not going to amount to anything. These are false beliefs. They're false beliefs. They've come from somewhere. Something happened in your past, some event or just constant events that somewhere in your mind you made them mean something. You chose to believe, I'm worthless. This happened to me, I'm worthless. Or I'm not enough. I'm never going to be enough. And so as we play that out throughout our lives, these negative core beliefs, how do we stand a chance of overcoming addiction? How do we stand a chance if we don't become willing enough to reach deep inside and go, underneath that, is there an ounce of my soul that knows this isn't okay? That actually underneath that, maybe I am worthy, maybe I am deserving of love, maybe I am deserving of success and happiness and peace and joy. So wherever you are in your life, I want you to know that it all makes sense and it's not your fault. But the question I have for you is, when you dig deep inside your heart and become still enough from your soul, is there a burning desire within you that you know there's more? The dreams you'd buried, the relationship you gave up on, the career you gave up on, the travel you gave up on, the family you gave up on. Is there still something burning within you that is calling you to continue to avoid pain and seek pleasure? And maybe by having an honest moment with yourself, you can start asking yourself those questions. Am I really unsatisfied in life because I don't believe I'm worth it, or that I'm enough, or that any of that is ever attainable to me? So I'm just going to switch offline and check out. But is there a burning desire deep down that goes, well, maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible. Maybe I can create this. And if that's you, then I'm here to help. I'm here to inspire you. I'm here to be here for you and walk this journey with you of your transformation. And I want you to know that no matter what you've done or haven't done in your past, no matter where you've come from, you are deserving of love and you are deserving of the best life possible. You are. And so forgiveness is a way of being. Forgiveness is a state of mind. Forgiveness of the world out there, the people that raised us, the abusers, the amazing people, the lovers, everybody, positive and negative, all of those people out there have made us a product of who we are today. So forgiveness is a practice. It's a spiritual practice of understanding that everything in our life is there for a reason, to help awaken us to the truth of who we are, which is unconditional love, and to spark enough discomfort so that we may bring this to our conscious awareness to return to that state of love. And the next layer is forgiveness of ourselves. Because as we become conscious of our own behavior, of our own default, of the way we've been living to that point, the things that we've done to other people, the way that we've treated ourselves, the way that we may have abused ourselves or others, we cannot hang out in guilt and shame over that. It's imperative that you don't even entertain those thoughts and that you move beyond them, because you cannot heal from that place. You have to acknowledge it. Okay, oh my gosh, what have I done? I feel guilty. I feel shame. Okay, right, I'm not going to stay there. Drop it like you were coated in Teflon and that shit just slides straight off you, right? And so as you do that, you're actually able to what? Get to the core of your healing. Understand the programs, understand your hardwiring, understand your subconscious mind. Yeah, came from here, came from all these places. Forgive those places. Forgive the church, forgive your childhood home, forgive your caregivers, forgive your school, forgive the media, forgive the whole monster of a world of multinational food corporations. There is everyone to blame. There is everyone to blame, but blame doesn't get us anywhere. It just keeps us a victim. We're going to be stuck in this victimization of we go, oh, that's why I am the way that I am. It's not my fault. It's your fault. No, stop the crap, right? Now that we're aware of why we are the way we are, forgive and let go of all of that external conditioning, and then forgive and let go for yourself. So forgiveness is, as I say, a state of being. It's a spiritual practice. It's an ongoing practice in the moment. It is an essential life skill. The alternative to that is to stay in resentment, anger, and blame. Do you know people like that have taken their crap to the grave? The non-forgiveness, the resentment, the pain? Oh, hell no. Who wants to live like that? Wouldn't you much rather just feel free, knowing that you've done your work and healing, and knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that we don't have to carry this endless train of suitcases behind us of baggage anymore, that we can unpack our shit, let it go. As my mother used to say, Deborah, wipe the shit off your wings and fly free. And so forgiveness is part of the piece of the puzzle that is going to make us have the most kick-ass experience in this world. So understand your wounds, understand where they came from, understand who you are and why you are, and make new decisions. Make decisions to get wise, grow in emotional intelligence, become anti-fragile, where every trauma and past experience in your life has not broken you. You've not allowed it to break you. You're going to rebuild that crap back up stronger. And you're going to fly as a result. You get to be the hero in your life's journey. Don't you lay down your sword and give up with apathy. What a waste of your life. You are a miracle by divine order. You deserve to be here. You deserve the best life. And you deserve to transform and go out there and kick ass and be a role model for other people in your community and life as well. I love you.